So here is an important principle when we begin to think about time, because this is where these quadrants of time are where all of us. I mean, this is what takes our time, okay? And what we want is for us to stay up in what's important, okay? And what we did today, it's not urgent, right? We didn't have to come to this workshop. We could have, spent our time, and maybe some of our classmates are actually finishing up their homework that's due for the next class period. And that would be urgent, right? But instead, you guys took time today to come to what's not urgent, but what's very important, and this is actually where most of your time, if you're effective in managing your time, ought to be spent, okay? Which is, clarifying my values, building relationships, making a plan, knowing what the schedule is, and prevention. This is where leadership comes from. People that are good leaders are doing this kinds of stuff, okay? So, and how you do that is to clarify what's important to me. What do I need to do? What's the next step? In order to meet those goals, okay? What happens for all of us, right, is that we have deadlines, and we have things that come up, crises, sometimes emergencies, and it's a necessity that those get some of our time, right? If you find yourself you're living here all the time, then you probably need to step back and come over here and spend some time really figuring out, okay, how do I stop living over here? Our time wasters, the only thing that we can do about time is to learn to say no to things, okay? We can't buy any more time, but we can learn how we manage the things that are below this line that are not important, okay? So things like, interruptions, people walking in, friends coming by and saying, hey, let's go do something. Again, if that falls into relationship building, then maybe it is important. But if it's just sort of taking me off task, at every turn, then you have to go back to what is it that's important to me. Do I want to graduate, or do I just want to have a bunch of friends? Okay. Emails, some of the biggest time stealers for people, actually employees nationwide. There's amazing studies about the amount of time people waste on emails. Text messaging, again, great. I love it because you can get a lot of things done, but it can be a major time waster. Some meetings, part of this is deception. That we begin to believe what about these things?
They're important.
They're important. Why? Why do we think they're important?
They interrupt us.
Okay. So they sort of take us off track for a moment. But what is it that we think about the next text message or the next email or the next Facebook message?
It could be important.
It could be what?
Important.
Yeah. It could be the thing that changes my life. Or, we sort of live like that, don't we? Even like things like this I'm going to give you a personal example. Opening up, emails from like Southwest. I don't want to miss a special. But I just spent 30 seconds, and really, today I need to spend 30 seconds, maybe even. I spent 5 minutes because I'm looking at where else I could go, in the world. But I'm not planning a trip, so why am I doing that? So learning how to manage. Now I get to the place where if I'm not looking for a ticket, I delete the message. I don't even open it. Okay. And the principle of managing these types of things, the principle. That's sort of tried and true is do it now. If it's junk mail, whether it's tangible junk mail or if it's electronic junk mail, or if it's any kind of things like even comes from if you're a mom like me, man, they send so much stuff home from school, it's unbelievable. And that stuff can just pile up. And so how the principle that once I touch it, I decide, do I discard it? Do I file it? Or does this sort of go into something here that I need to plan? It needs to go to a calendar. It needs to do whatever it needs to do. Okay, but once I touch it, I make a decision. I don't just put it on a pile that keeps piling up. That's why you've got people with really cluttered desks and cluttered rooms, and when they need to find something, they can't find something. So doing it now principle will help manage some of this. Do it now. Make a decision. And then, again, this is about some deception that we have, that these things are really important, and they're really not, And I know, like Facebook, I get on there, and sometimes I'm like, all of a sudden I'm like, oh my word, where did that last 2 hours go? How did that happen? So, I understand. So making decision, okay, tonight, I'm not going to get on Facebook, or I'm going to do it once a week, and this is where I'm going to do it, just being really mindful of that. Okay, here's our default with our time, okay? Why is this a default? It's not bad. Video games, internet, you know, anything to the Access TV programs, why is it a default? What is this about for us? Entertainment. What is entertainment? It's an escape. It can be exciting, right? Yeah, it's an escape. This is our default. When we're not thinking about this kind of stuff, right? If this is not sort of how we're focused, or if we're feeling overwhelmed by some of the goals that we have, then we sort of go into this, okay? But what happens when we go into this too much?
It makes more problems.
That's right, and it stresses us out even more, and we end up here more. And this is why we, you know, people struggle with getting sort of like zoned in and addicted to some of these things, okay? Because, you know, it definitely is very compelling, but it's a default, okay? So managing that, not saying, you know, I'm never gonna play video games again, or I'm never gonna watch TV again, okay? But I'm gonna do this amount of hours, or it's gonna be in a response to really meeting one of my goals, that I'm gonna maybe reward myself with 30 minutes. You know, but knowing yourself well enough to know, you know, does that work for me? You know, if I get on Facebook, will I get off in 30 minutes? You know, just being mindful of knowing yourself, okay? What else was I gonna say about that? I can't remember what it was. So, any questions about that? So again, it's not that we're not gonna have some of these things down here, but if we're good time managers, then we're gonna be operating on these above quadrants. Any questions or comments? Oh, I know what I was going to say. Like for me, one of my roles is I'm a mom, okay? And so I have just made a decision that I'm not going to do TV, okay? I'm not going to do it. So I maybe will DVR one show a week and watch that, you know, but I'll watch it in double time, right? But I'm not going to just watch TV every night because I just can't. I mean, someday I hope to return to it because I have no clue what's going on in the world. My neighbor always teases me because I'm like, I had no idea that Jay Leno went off and then he did a new show. I mean, I had no idea. She's like, where have you been? I don't know. Stuff's not important to me. Okay? So, just being, you know, making some decisions. Okay, so let's break this down. We've got 6 minutes. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this and we're going to begin to think about, okay, knowing that you're in these roles and that you have these values and this is your mission, what is a weekly goal? So let's just take, for you know, just for the sake of time, go ahead and flip over and take 2 of your roles. Okay, just for this week. So I would encourage each of you to take student as one of your roles. Okay? So take student as one of your roles and then choose another one. Okay? Write it down. And what I want you to do is just for today, today's Monday, fresh start, right? New day, new week. With those roles, I want you to set a goal for this week, which means it has to have a deadline. By such and such, I'm going to complete, or I'm going to make this phone call, or I'm going to write this note, or whatever it is that you're going to do, okay? Or I'm going to have this, schedule this lunch. I'm going to have this important conversation that I've been avoiding, whatever it is, okay? Set a goal. Or as a student, this week I'm going to meet with my advisor, or